Alrighty. Let's get started. The name is Bono.
What?
The name is Bono. Oh, Ionic. I'm falling. Ionic. Taken.
Taken,
Okay. We got the computer science shirts today.
I already have it for like a week now.
Whatever. I got mine today.
Okay. Your polo shirts?
Yeah. you had me at Hello World.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we have like sweatshirts too.
You have a sweatshirt too?
Yeah.
Wait. I want one too now. Okay. So, you could say that this is pretty much the last important thing of the semester, and then after that, you know everything to do the final project. So, chapter 10. What does chapter 10 tell you? I have summarized it in here. Alright? And it's pretty similar to what chapter 9 told you. And we're going to make some GUIs. First we're going to make the window. We're going to add some buttons and some text boxes and checkboxes and text boxes and different things. And they're not going to work in the beginning. They're just going to look pretty. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to associate events so that if you do something with the GUI, there's going to be an event. And based on that event, your program is going to do something. So, how does it go? There are a bunch of examples that are in that chapter, which I haven't posted, so you have to type them up. So let's have a look at this. Okay, so again, just a quick refresher. How do we organize things on the screen? We use layout managers. There's different layout managers. The one that I would recommend for your final project is the grid layout. Right? Grid layout will do the magic. It lets you do rows and columns. Alright, so let me just download this thing because it looks like crap in Canvas, because Canvas is crap. Now that's on video too. We have documented my hatred towards this garbage software. Let me download my million fonts first. Any day now. There we go. Okay, so let's zoom in on this thing. Okay, so again, the step was the two steps for creating a GUI is first you make all the visual components, make sure it works, make sure it looks the way you want it to, and then the step 2 is associate events with the different visuals that we created. Okay, and I have a bunch of programs in there. Let's have a look at the first one. So I'm going to be using Eclipse. Alright, if you're going to be doing these GUIs, you might as well use Eclipse. You can download Eclipse online, get the Java one. There's a Eclipse EE. Don't get that, get the regular Eclipse. The EE is for enterprise developers. And this was all the stuff from last time, so I'm just going to go and get rid of all of it. Delete. Okay. Then I'm going to go get my files. And these are the different files up to there. Drag them right into my source. Copy them. Sounds good to me. Alright. So the order of these things, let me have a look at it. First is multi-buttons, wherever that is. Multi-buttons. Okay, and the reason that I recommend that you use Eclipse again is because it really helps. If you don't know how to use something or you're wondering what something is, you just mouse over and Eclipse will tell you. Right? Instead of you having to go to the documentation Javadoc documentation webpage, it's all in Eclipse. It'll tell you how to use things. Okay. So, what do we have in here? We have a public class multi-buttons which extends JFrame. I already told you what extends means last time. What is JFrame? JFrame is just a class that's part of Java, which has a whole bunch of things built into it. What was the JFrame? The JFrame was the main window, right? And then let me just run this thing so you can see what it looks like. All right. So this is what the things looks like. There is a little text on top of the screen. The hello application version 1, that's whatever text I give here in the construction of the JFrame. Underneath it, I have multiple buttons. I have message button, clear button, exit button, and I'm giving text for all these different buttons, right? That's the text that you see that appears inside of the buttons. You can also do things with them like changing the size of the buttons, changing the color of the buttons, putting a picture as a background of the button, making it disabled, all kinds of different things like that. Okay. So these are my first buttons. Then I'm making a container, container C, which is going to get my content pane. The content pane is just the little screen that is underneath. I mean, the little thing that's under the text, the hello application version 1, right? Everything that's underneath, right, where the buttons are, that's the content pane. It's like the canvas where we're going to draw all the stuff that we're going to put in the application. Okay, if we're going to put a menu, we're not going to put it in the content pane that goes on top, but we're not going to do menus. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the default layout, flow layout. If you want to, you can mouse over so you can hopefully, Eclipse tells you what this is, right? Construction new flow layout with centered alignment and a default 5-unit horizontal and vertical gap. So there's different ways for this thing to be organized. If I go and I resize my window, notice how the buttons get moved around. That is what the flow layout does, right? That's just one of the layout managers. Okay. Okay. So this is the flow layout. The next thing is I'm going to add my buttons into the content pane. So basically adding them up into this canvas right here. Okay, so I'm adding these 3 buttons. That's the order. First is the message, then it's the clear, then it's the exit. If I add them in different order, the flow layout manager is going to display them in different order. Okay. Next thing is the mnemonics. The mnemonics are just my shortcuts, so that if I press the Alt key, right, notice how the different letters get shown. So let's say I want to do the exit, right? It doesn't show anything, right? But these are the shortcuts, right? These buttons, when I click them, nothing happens, right? I have not associated any events with them just yet. Okay, the only event that I have associated for this program is for my mainframe, which is this window, to do something when I hit the little close button. And what is it going to do? It's going to do this right here, right? So when we detect a closing event, we're going to exit the program. That's what I'm doing with this. All right, so if I go in there and I do close this, program ends. Okay, if I don't have this, let me try to run it again. All right, still looks the same. When I close it, when I hit the close button, the operating system still knows to close the window, but Java itself, the program is still running. And if I ran it from the command line, it's a little more obvious, but here you can see the little, terminate button is on, so the program is still running. I'm going to hit it, and then the program stops. Okay, so if you want to stop the program, all right, let's try it again. Run it, and I go in there and I close this. See, this little button is not on because the program ended. Why did it end? Because the associated event. I added a window listener so that if my event is to close the window, I exit my program. So that's that. The only other piece is the set visible true, right? Some of the examples in the book use this mainframe.show, and if you try to compile this from the command line, you're going to get this little message right here, deprecated, blah blah blah. And as of JDK version 1.5, which is one of the older versions of Java, this thing was replaced with set visible. Right? So there's a different way for you to show the screen. Not that this is not going to work, but it's kind of obsolete now, right? So we're not going to use it. And that's the first one. So, and then from the main, all I'm doing is I'm creating an object of the multi-buttons type. And the multi-buttons, this is the constructor for it. And this is the class multi-buttons. And there's a couple of variables in there. There's 3 buttons and the main window, which is the mainframe. Okay, so that's that. The next one is the multi-buttons events, which is pretty much the same thing as this one, but we're going to add the events. And by the way, we need swing, event, container, all these, right? And I put comments in there for what's for what, which one's for what. Okay. And the cool thing about Eclipse is, check this out. Let me go in there and take out this little thing here. I'm just going to comment it out. All right. See if it doesn't. It likes it. All right. Hold on. Let me take out all of them. What the hell? Let's do this. I'm going to take out a few of them. That's probably going to mess up a bunch of stuff. There we go. So now it doesn't know what a container is. Oh, I know why. Hold on, undo. I'm going to take out these 2. Alright. Now it doesn't know what a container is. But check out what Eclipse can do. It automatically, so it highlights the thing and tells you, alright, hold on, there's something wrong with this. And then it tells you, you need to do this. Okay, click. And imported it for me. So Eclipse is awesome. Okay. Flow layout. Oh, I didn't import the thing for the flow layout. Okay, Eclipse. Click the import flow layout. Done. Okay. So it's really neat. And I hope you see why I didn't want you to use this in the beginning of the class, because I wanted you to learn how to fix the errors instead of relying on this thing to fix them for you. Okay. But now that we're in this advanced stage at chapter 9 and 10, it really helps to use it. I really wouldn't want to write my code in anything other than Eclipse if it's something more complicated like this. Alright, so going back to my multi-buttons events, which has all the other stuff that the other one has, right? So it's all the other things. You have the main window. Let me just run the program. Alright, so same thing as before, but what we have done, or what I've done, is I have created 3 different classes, and these are inner classes. Why are they inner classes? Because they're inside this other big class, right? This is my multi-buttons events class, and inside that class I have some other inner classes. Okay, each of these inner classes is going to be responsible for handling each of these different buttons. So this is my message button handler, which implements action listener. I told you what's the difference between implements and what's the other one on top? Extends on Tuesday. So you can look at those notes and the lectures and all that good stuff. Okay, and there's some explanation in there. Okay, when you extend the class, any method that you write with the same name will overwrite the parent class method. If you implement the class, the parent class had nothing more than the method definition, so you just have a bunch of blank methods defined, no code in them whatsoever. Implements is for interfaces, extends is for classes. If you forgot what's the difference between the interface and implements, I put a link in there for the lecture, the piece of the lecture of last time so that you can look at it. I'm not going to go over it again. Alright, so we have different classes, each of them. Alright, how do we associate the events? So here I have message button handler, mhandler is just a variable name I made up. And we're going to make this class responsible for listening to whatever happens to this button, the message button, using the add action listener. And add action listener adds an action listener to the button. So what is that? It's going to listen to the button. If something happens to the button, you respond to that event. Okay? Which event are we going to responding to? Any event, right? So any event, basically if anything happens to that button, which is most likely I'm going to be clicking it, right? We're going to go and show up a little dialog box. This is my dialog box. These are the messages that are going to be in the dialog box. And let's just have a look at this thing. Where is this? There you go. So if I hit this, I see this little button, this little dialog box. If I hit this, I see this little dialog box. If I hit the exit, what's going to happen is I'm going to see the message exiting, and I'm going to system exit, which is going to exit the program. Which is, by the way, the same thing that happens when I hit the close button. Okay, so I hit the exit, exit button was clicked, and then program ends. As soon as it ends, this red square disappears, and there it is. So again, this is this two-step process. First you make the visual stuff, then you associate events with it. Okay, so have a look at the PowerPoint, and they talk about the different layout managers in page 520, so that you can look at them. And keep in mind, when not explicitly specified, the default manager for JFrame container is border layout. What we used is flow layout or whatever it was. Yeah, flow layout. Unless you do that, unless you specify the layout, Java is going to try to use the border layout. So what is that going to look like? I don't know. Let's have a look. Oops, no default. Set layout. Let's try it without the set layout. Run it. And it's just one big giant button. Alright, so it doesn't even know how to handle these multiple buttons. So that if you're going to do multiple things, you want to set the layout from something else than the border layout. Okay, going to the next one. Multi-buttons Java, I already did that. Okay, and again, once set, the layout determines the control, sizing, position of components, etc., etc. Next one is we're going to do some text boxes and stuff like that. So let's have a look at this thing. So first text GUI 1, text GUI 2. So text GUI 1 is, I'm just going to close these. Don't save. Okay, text GUI 1. Same process as before. We're going to have the same thing. We have 3 buttons and a text field, right? So I'm going to go in there, and again, you can mouse over with Eclipse. It will provide plenty of information of what's what and how to use it, all kinds of different things. Okay, I'm going to run this thing, and it looks like this. Okay, so this is my text field, my text box, which is this little thing here. I filled it up with hello world. That's the text that I put in there. All these different buttons underneath it are these 3 buttons. And then I have my container, which is the actual content pane, right? And what I'm going to do to the content pane is I'm going to add these different things in order. First, I'm going to add my text field. Then I'm going to add my 3 buttons, right? And because I'm using a border layout, right, which is that other one that I was just trying to use and it messed up, I have to specify where to place these things, right? So the border layout is kind of weird. You have to tell it north, west, center, east, and all that stuff. But this is what it looks like, okay? So the rest of it is just a bunch of shortcuts, mnemonics, or just shortcuts. The size of the window is just the size of this window. Adding the window listener so that the program knows to close itself or terminate when you close it, making it visible, and that's it. So if I click these buttons, nothing will happen, just like before. Close it, okay? And that's that. Now I'm going to look at text GUI 2. Text GUI 2 is similar to text GUI 1. All the other things are the same, right? This part of the code is the same. The thing that's different is I'm going to do the event handling just like I did before. It's really not much different. The only thing that's going to happen this time, which is different from the multi-events button that I had before, is in these events before, I was telling it to show little dialog boxes, which is this show message dialog thing. In this one, I'm going to be changing the properties of the text field, right? How does it know what the text field is? Well, these are inner classes. The inner classes are part of this big class, and inside this big class is the text field. So all the other inner classes have access to your text field variable. Okay? What am I going to do to the text field? I'm going to set the text to hello world once again if I hit one of the buttons. So if I hit this one here, changes to hello world once again, which was this here. If I go clear, it's going to empty the text that's inside of it. Clear message, okay? And then the exit button does the same thing as before, which is just exits the program. Okay, one thing that, again, cool thing about Eclipse is if you go T field, and by the way, you can set it up so that it also auto-completes. Typing in T field dot, and it will list all the different methods that are available to a text field, right? So all the different things that you can do to this thing, Eclipse will list them. You don't have to go to the Java documentation webpage and try to read the manual. Eclipse is your manual. Okay? Alright, so that's one of the reasons I really like it, and I like it better than IntelliJ, because IntelliJ, I haven't set it up to, or haven't been able to set it up in such a way that will do all these magic tricks that Eclipse does. Okay? So that's my text GUI 2. Done with it. The next thing that I'm going to talk to you about is some temperature conversion. So it's pretty much the same stuff. Convert temp 1. Alright, let's have a look at it. Alright, here you go. So now you have pretty much the same things as before. Two new things are labels. This text right here, enter a Fahrenheit temp, enter the corresponding Celsius value. These are the labels. Far label, Celsius label, that's just the variables names that I choose. The rest of the stuff you already saw. A bunch of buttons, the mainframe. Alright, text field, you saw them before already, right? Same business as before, giving them text. This here, the new stuff, JText field 5 tells it how wide the space of the text field should be, right? Both are basically the same size. Nothing in them originally. I'm using flow layout again so that it knows to arrange these things in a certain way. So if I move the screen around, it'll mess it up or not, depending on how I move the screen. Setting the size of the window and adding a window listener so that if I hit the little button here, it closes the program. Run again. Okay, I already have all my events for my buttons. So what's going to happen is, let's say I type a temperature 32 Fahrenheit, right? That value is going to go into this text field, the far text field, okay? And what's going to happen is, as soon as I hit the convert to Celsius button, this class here is going to be called, and we're going to execute whatever's inside my action performed method. Okay, again, action performed is built into the Java language. You don't have to worry about it too much. It gets called automatically. What I'm going to do is I'm going to format my output for this text field to appear itself in a certain format. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to capture whatever's the string inside my Fahrenheit text box, which is this, using the get text. So that's going to get this number here. I'm going to convert that number to a double. I'm going to do some math with it. Then I'm going to put the value of whatever I converted using set text into this right here. So if I had this, what is 32 Fahrenheit in Celsius, Marissa? Wow. You are smart.
That's literally 0.
Okay. Alright, so it's 0, and that's it. That's basically all there is to this. Any questions? Fantastic. Okay, the only other thing I want to tell you about, and that's this one here. And this is going to be applicable to how you're going to do things for your final project. Alright, you have a checkbox 1, or whatever this thing is called, I can't see it. Let's have a look at it. So checkbox 1, so let's run the program so we can see what it looks like. Looks like this, okay? Now, the cool thing about this particular assignment here, or example in the book, is it shows you how to handle multiple events in the same class. So up to this point, I had to write a new class for every little thing. If I have 3 buttons, I got to write 3 different classes for them. Well, in your final project, you're going to have 9 buttons. You don't want to go write 9 separate classes in them. Plus, how are you going to figure out the winner, right? You need to have like a way to bundle all these different things together into one place, okay? And that's what this illustrates. All right, so the only new thing here now is, you already know label. What's a label? It's to enter some text piece here. The text field, right? That's this right here, you know, that I have selected. The only new thing here are the checkboxes, right? What are checkboxes? Well, these are the checkboxes, okay? So Same thing as before, all these different things. I have a text field which is 20 wide, right? I have my my labels for my two text field checkboxes. One says italic, one says bold, and I get my content pane, right? I set that layout. I go in there and I add these things in order. I do the shortcuts. I set the size. I tell it so that it knows how to close the window. Then I'm going to have an exit button handler, which is, you know, a class which is going to be executed when I hit the exit button, same as before. And here is the new piece again, which is one handler, the checkbox handler class, from which I'm creating an object called C handler. And this one, we're going to use the same class to listen to two different things. This is how you're going to be doing your final project, right? You're going to have multiple buttons, and each of them, you're going to have the same listener respond to each of these different ones. Okay? So this is my exit button as before, just exits the program. And here is my checkbox handler, right? So the question that you might ask yourself is, how would it know which one of these two boxes, which one of these two checkboxes would it know that was clicked? Well, again, this is something similar to what you're going to be using in your final project. You use E, right? What is the E? Well, it's the event thing, right? It's the thing that happened. So if you say e.getSource, that will identify which thing was clicked, okay? So if e.getSource equals box bold, which is one of these, right? Then you know that one was clicked. So what are we going to do if that was clicked? Well, if this thing was clicked, what we're going to do is e.getStateChange is equal to selected. Oh, so if it was selected, so if it was clicked, that's one thing. Okay, and then the next thing is if it was selected, right? We're going to do one thing. What we're going to do is we're going to change the font to bold, and if it wasn't, we're going to change it to plain. And this one, this else here, is basically there's only two things that could possibly be clicked. One is going to be my bold, right, which is this one here. So the bold can either be selected, which is this, or not selected, which is the else. And the other here, the else applies to the italic, since there's only two things clicked. If you haven't clicked the box bold button or text box, checkbox, then that means it must be the italic checkbox, right? And the same deal. The italic checkbox, it's either going to be selected, which is this, in which case we're going to change the font to italic, or it isn't, in which case we're going to go back to the default font. So we're going to change the font to either bold or plain or italic and plain, right? And then how we're going to apply these, and by the way, bold font and italic font are just integers, and they have specific values for, Java has specific values for what bold is and what, you know, the other one is. I think this is 1, right? See, Eclipse tells you it's 1. I think it's 1, right? Plain is 0. Italic is 2, right? So instead of you going in there and trying to remember, okay, hold on, which one was bold and italic? Easy. You just use the font class, which has all this information bundled into it, and you say font.bold, and then the rest is handled. So then we just put this number called bold font into how we're going to create a new font, right? So it's going to be this font type, it's going to be italic plus bold, and those are changed to whatever this is, or this is, or this is, right? Etc. And then we're giving it a font size, and then we're going to say text tin field repaint. So I'm going to go in there, I'm going to say, all right, hello world, this is the default text. If I hit italic, it goes italic. If I hit bold, it goes bold. I uncheck it goes back. I uncheck this, it goes back. Okay? And that's it. Questions? Okay. So that's as far as the GUIs are concerned. This is all you need for the final project. I have a couple of things in there. Last things that I want to tell you is about Javadoc Comments. I don't know why I have two links in there. Oh, this is from the Java official webpage, right? Basically, there is a certain format for your comments, and if you follow this format, Java will automatically generate, it will make like a nice looking web page with all the documentation for you. That way you can send your program to somebody with the documentation written in a series of web pages, right? Without you going in there and hard coding all the HTML and all the other crap. Okay, so this is the official documentation from Oracle, and by the way, Oracle is the company that owns Java now. It used to be Sun Microsystems, right? Which is, it might explain to you why Java is such a monster language, because it's owned by a monster company. One of the richest people in the world is the owner of Oracle. Okay, and let me look at this example here that I have. How to document your code with this. Okay, so this here is an example of a little something that I wrote for Javadoc. So I have just a simple Java program. I call it Javadoc, right? On top of this, I have some comments. And by the way, the comments, you could insert HTML tags in there. Okay? The less than, I, greater than is a tag that's part of the HTML. Tells it, make this italic. If I say less than, you, greater than, and then some text, and then I close the tag in there, that is the way for me to tell HTML, make this piece of text underlined. Okay? Similarly, underneath here, I have something italic. BR means insert a new line in HTML. If you write a bunch of code in HTML and you try to just hit enter, it will not know what an enter is. You have to manually tell it, okay, insert a new line here, just like you have to do the \n for Java. Okay? So this is just to insert a new line, and then in there, I'm going to say some text, and then in here, I'm going to tell it what are my parameters. At param num1 first number, at param num2 second number, at return, what is this thing returning? So you're basically explaining what the function is doing so that somebody can use your code without having to really understand the intricate details of your code. And then in Eclipse, you go to project. Let's see if I can go to Eclipse. Project, generate Javadoc. That's all you got to do, and then as soon as you do that, it will generate this web page, right? If you have multiple things going in your code, it will generate multiple web pages. Okay, and this is basically the method summary. It automatically generates constructor summary, method summary, and ideally, this is what you want to do in a real world situation. This is how you're going to be documenting your code, Javadoc. Okay, so when you transfer to some fancy school and they tell you, okay, we're going to use Javadoc or whatever, this is how we do it. Okay, any questions? That's it. Okay, so what do you have to do? Chapter 10, a couple of things for you to type up and get running, and some assignments. And then next week, we're going to talk about the project. I'll tell you about how to generate a jar file, which is like an executable in Java, so that you can run it from any computer without compiling it from the command line, that kind of stuff. And then the final project, and that's it. We're done. So that's all. I'm going to pause this and post the video.